Safety is a silent trap, a comfortable prison disguised as protection. It whispers to you softly, kindly, telling you to stay where it feels warm, predictable, and familiar. It promises you security, promises you ease, promises you calm, but what it never tells you is the cost. The cost of every dream you bury, every chance you avoid, every piece of potential you never allow to surface. Safety is seductive, and that is precisely why it is dangerous. Because the more you cling to safety, the smaller your life becomes. Chasing safety is the quiet surrender of who you could be. It is trading growth for comfort, trading adventure for predictability, trading your potential for the illusion of certainty. And it is an illusion. Nothing in life is guaranteed. Not your job, not your relationships, not your circumstances, not your future. The only real safety you have is the strength you build, the courage you develop, the resilience you earn, and the character you refine. Everything else can be taken from you. Safety outside yourself is fragile, but the safety you create within yourself is unbreakable. Many people spend their entire lives chasing a version of safety that doesn't exist. They wait for the perfect moment, the perfect circumstances, the perfect plan, the perfect confidence. They wait until they feel ready, and in that waiting, life passes them by. They trade possibility for hesitation. They trade decades for comfort, and one day, they wake up and realize that the life they wanted required risks they were too afraid to take. They realize that their fear didn't protect them. It robbed them. It took from them the chance to become someone extraordinary. Chasing safety kills dreams long before failure ever could. Failure at least gives you a chance to learn, to grow, to rise stronger than before. Fear gives you nothing. It keeps you exactly where you are, repeating the same days, living the same patterns, pretending that someday will magically arrive. But someday is a lie that safety tells you to keep you from stepping beyond your comfort zone. Someday is where courage dies. Someday is where your potential waits for you, wondering when you'll finally decide to stop hiding. If you want to break free from the grip of safety, you must first understand the truth growth feels dangerous because it requires stepping into the unknown. Your brain is wired to protect you, not to fulfill your dreams. It is designed to seek familiarity, even when familiarity is the reason for your frustration. It wants predictability, even when predictability is the reason you feel stuck. Your mind will always try to pull you back to what feels safe, even if what feels safe is slowly suffocating your potential. But your future is not built by your instincts. It is built by your decisions, and the decision to rise requires stepping into uncertainty. You must also realize that every great life, every great achievement, every great transformation was born from risk. Nothing extraordinary has ever come from choosing safety. Every successful person you admire stepped into uncertainty. They faced fear. They took risks. They bet on themselves. They walked into situations where they could fail, and often they did. But failure didn't destroy them. It shaped them. It gave them wisdom. It sharpened their character. It taught them resilience, and resilience is far more valuable than safety will ever be. Chasing safety is also chasing approval. Humans often cling to the familiar because they fear judgment. They fear being criticized, misunderstood, or rejected. They fear disappointing others. They fear stepping outside the lines drawn for them by society, by family, by expectations. But the truth is this: you cannot live a meaningful life if your primary goal is to avoid criticism. Greatness demands exposure. Success demands visibility. Growth demands vulnerability. You must be willing to be seen, even in your imperfection, even in your uncertainty, even in your early, messy attempts. You must care more about your future than the opinions of those who are too afraid to pursue their own. The path to a bigger life is paved with risk, discomfort, and courage. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the decision that something else matters more. When you choose courage over safety, you choose growth. You choose purpose. You choose authenticity. You choose to honor your potential rather than shrink for the approval of others. Courage is a muscle, and like any muscle, it grows with use. The more you step into discomfort, the more capable you become. The more capable you become, the more doors open. And the more doors open, the more powerful your life becomes. Chasing safety may feel like protection, but it is actually self-betrayal. Every time you avoid a risk you know you should take, you are telling yourself that you cannot trust yourself. Every time you back down from an opportunity, you reinforce the belief that you are not capable. Every time you choose comfort over growth, you weaken your identity. You teach yourself to expect less from your life. You convince yourself that the safe life is the good life. But deep down, you know better. Deep down, you feel the weight of the dreams you buried. Deep down, you hear the quiet voice whispering, "You were meant for more." There is a fire in you that safety will never let burn. That fire is your potential, your strength, your talent, your purpose, your calling. Safety keeps that fire dim. It keeps you contained, controlled, predictable. But life is not meant to be lived in dimness. You are meant to shine fiercely. You are meant to grow beyond what you thought possible. You are meant to stretch, expand, and evolve. That requires heat. That requires pressure. That requires stepping into experiences that scare you, not to harm you, but to awaken you. The world does not need more people who play small to stay safe. The world needs people who are willing to break their own limitations. People who are willing to take risks that align with their purpose. People who are willing to push beyond comfort to create impact. People who are willing to stand tall in uncertainty and trust their ability to handle whatever comes. Your life expands or contracts based on your willingness to step into the unknown. You must accept that discomfort is not your enemy, it is your guide. Discomfort shows you where you need to grow. Discomfort shows you where you are holding back. Discomfort shows you what still scares you, and therefore where your greatest potential lies. When something scares you, it means it matters. It means it has the power to transform you. Safety wants you to avoid anything that scares you. Growth demands that you move toward it. To escape the trap of safety, you must redefine your relationship with fear. Fear is not a stop sign. Fear is a signal that you are standing at the edge of expansion. Feeling fear does not mean you are weak. It means you are alive, standing at a threshold. That threshold is where your old self ends and your new self begins. If you turn back, you remain who you are. If you step forward, you become who you were meant to be. You must also understand that safety will never satisfy you. It will comfort you, yes. It will protect you from risk, yes. But it will never fulfill you. Safety cannot give you the feeling of purpose that comes from chasing something meaningful. It cannot give you the confidence that comes from overcoming obstacles. It cannot give you the pride that comes from doing something that once terrified you. Fulfillment comes from facing challenges, from pushing your limits, from growing into someone you once doubted you could become. Safety prevents all of that. It gives you comfort while stealing your greatness. People don't regret the risks they took. They regret the risks they avoided. They regret the chances they turned down, the dreams they postponed, the opportunities they let pass by in the name of safety. No one reaches the end of their life wishing they had played smaller. They wish they had been braver. They wish they had trusted themselves more. They wish they had been willing to take more risks, not fewer. You must not wait until regret becomes your teacher. Learn now, act now, step forward now. To stop chasing safety, you must build self-trust. Trust that you can handle the unknown. Trust that you can figure things out. Trust that setbacks will not destroy you. Trust that failure is not fatal. Trust that you have strength you have not yet discovered. Safety tells you to rely on external stability. Courage tells you to rely on internal strength. Build that strength through action. Every time you face something uncomfortable, you prove to yourself that you can. You must also cultivate a long-term vision. Safety focuses on the short term, avoiding pain, avoiding discomfort, avoiding risk. But growth focuses on the long term, building the life you truly want. When you adopt a long-term vision, you understand that temporary discomfort is a small price to pay for future fulfillment. You stop making decisions based on fear. You start making decisions based on purpose. You must stop waiting for permission. Safety convinces you that someone else must approve your choices. Someone else must validate your dreams. Someone else must tell you that you are ready. But no one is coming to give you permission to change your life. You must step forward boldly, unapologetically, and decisively. You must choose to live on your own terms, even if it scares you, especially if it scares you. Most importantly, you must understand this truth. The life you want is on the other side of the risks you're afraid to take. Safety will not take you there. Safety cannot build the life you dream of. Safety cannot unlock the version of you that you were born to become. Only courage can do that. Only boldness can do that. Only stepping into the unknown can do that. You must decide today whether you will continue chasing safety or whether you will chase your potential. You cannot have both. One gives you comfort, the other gives you life. One protects you, The other transforms you. One keeps you small, the other makes you powerful. Chasing safety is a habit, and like any habit, it becomes a pattern that shapes your entire life. But there comes a moment when you must confront that pattern and ask yourself a powerful question: is this truly the life I want? Or is this simply the life that feels safe? This is a question most people avoid because it requires painful honesty. It forces you to acknowledge the ways you've held yourself back, the opportunities you ignored, the dreams you dimmed, and the excuses you've protected. But it is only through this honesty that transformation becomes possible. Until you face the truth, you cannot change the truth. Part of moving beyond safety is recognizing the limits of control. So many people cling to safety because they believe that if they can just avoid risks, they can avoid pain. But avoiding risk does not eliminate pain. It only guarantees a different kind of pain, the pain of stagnation, the pain of regret, the pain of knowing you could have been more but chose not to be. Life will involve discomfort no matter what path you choose. But the discomfort of growth is far more meaningful than the discomfort of staying the same. One transforms you. The other weighs you down. One is temporary. The other lasts a lifetime. You must understand the simple but transformative truth: your life expands in direct proportion to your willingness to be uncomfortable. The more discomfort you are willing to face, the larger your life becomes. The less discomfort you tolerate, the smaller your life becomes. Safety shrinks your world. Courage expands it. If you want a bigger life, you must build a bigger tolerance for discomfort. Not recklessness, not chaos, just the willingness to step into the unfamiliar again and again until it becomes familiar, and then do it again. Chasing safety also traps you in cycles of overthinking. You hesitate, you analyze, you seek more information, more guarantees, more signs that everything will work out. But the truth is, clarity comes from action, not from overthinking. You cannot think your way into confidence. You cannot think your way into courage. You cannot think your way into success. These things are built in the doing, in the trying, in the stepping forward even when the path is unclear. Thinking without action becomes fear disguised as logic. It feels responsible, it feels intelligent, but it is still fear. Action is what breaks the cycle. Action is what liberates you from the prison of your mind. You must also be willing to face the fear of failure. Failure terrifies people because they believe it says something permanent about who they are. But failure does not define you. What defines you is your response to failure. Failure is not the opposite of success. It is part of success. Every meaningful accomplishment is built on the foundation of failed attempts. Every master was once a beginner who failed repeatedly. Every breakthrough comes after countless breakdowns. If you want to grow, you must give yourself permission to fail. Not because you want to fail, but because failure is proof that you are trying. Failure is evidence that you stepped outside your comfort zone. Failure is the price of progress. And even more importantly, you must face the fear of success. Many people chase safety not because they fear failing, but because they fear succeeding. Success requires responsibility. Success requires higher standards. Success requires visibility. Success requires you to let go of the identity you've outgrown. Those things are uncomfortable. Those things are intimidating. So people sabotage themselves not because they can't do more, but because they are terrified of what will be required of them if they do. But success is not something to fear. It is something to grow into. It is something you earn piece by doing the uncomfortable work. It is something you rise to, not something that randomly happens to you. If you want to stop chasing safety, you must adopt a new standard of living, one rooted in courage. Courage is not loud. It is not always dramatic. Sometimes courage is quiet. Sometimes courage is getting out of bed when the weight of life feels heavy. Sometimes courage is sending the application, making the call, having the conversation you've avoided. Sometimes courage is saying no when the world expects you to say yes. Sometimes courage is saying yes when every part of you wants to say no. Sometimes courage is letting go. Sometimes courage is beginning again. Courage takes many forms, but the essence is always the same. Courage is choosing growth over comfort. To make courage your default, you must cultivate new habits, habits that reinforce boldness, not safety. Start taking small risks daily. They don't have to be life-changing decisions. Speak up when you would normally stay quiet. Try something new instead of repeating the familiar. Say what you truly feel instead of hiding behind polite avoidance. Make one decision today that scares you, and tomorrow make another. Courage grows through repetition. Once you build the muscle of courage, you begin to crave growth instead of fearing it. You must also learn to separate fear from danger. Fear is emotional. Danger is factual. Most of the things you fear, judgment, embarrassment, rejection, uncertainty, are not dangerous. They feel uncomfortable, but they cannot destroy you. What can destroy you is a life spent running from them. Fear lies to you. It exaggerates consequences. It magnifies risks. It minimizes your strength. But danger is rare. Fear is common. If you treat every fear as danger, you will spend your life hiding from shadows. You must train your mind to ask, is this dangerous or is this uncomfortable? 99% of the time, the answer will be uncomfortable. And discomfort is survivable. You also need to practice self-trust. Trust is not built through perfection. It is built through resilience. You trust yourself when you prove that you can handle things, not when you avoid them. You trust yourself when you make decisions and learn from them, not when you endlessly seek reassurance. You trust yourself when you keep your commitments, when you follow through, when you honor your word, even privately, when no one else will ever know. Self-trust is the foundation of courage because it tells you, no matter what happens, I will figure it out. When you believe you can figure things out, you stop clinging to safety. To end the chase for safety, you must reshape your environment. Your surroundings influence your behavior more than you realize. If you live around people who are afraid to try, who talk about what could go wrong, who discourage risks, who choose comfort every time, they will pull you back into the safety trap. But if you surround yourself with people who dream big, who take risks, who embrace discomfort, who pursue growth, they will elevate you simply by existing in your orbit. You become like the people you spend time with. Choose courage-minded people. To break free from safety, you must also accept that uncertainty is not something to fear, it is something to embrace. Uncertainty is the birthplace of possibility. If everything were certain, nothing would ever change. If everything were predictable, you would never grow. Uncertainty is where new opportunities lie. It is where transformation happens. It is where you discover who you really are. The most powerful versions of yourself are found in the moments that require you to navigate what you cannot control. When you learn to meet uncertainty with curiosity instead of fear, your life becomes bigger than you ever imagined. A life spent chasing safety is a life spent shrinking. A life spent embracing courage is a life spent expanding. The size of your life will always match the size of your courage. You must also remember that nothing meaningful happens overnight. Growth takes time. Courage takes repetition. Transformation takes patience. If you step out of safety once and feel scared, that's normal. If you try something bold and it doesn't work out, that's normal. If you feel overwhelmed, uncertain, or doubtful, that's normal. The key is not to avoid these feelings. The key is to keep moving anyway. You do not need to eliminate fear to act. You simply need to carry fear with you while you act. Resilience is built through continuous movement. Even slow movement matters. Even imperfect movement matters. Even messy movement matters. The only thing that does not matter is standing still. Standing still keeps you exactly where you have always been. Movement creates momentum, and momentum is what builds confidence. Confidence is not a prerequisite for courage. It is a result of courage. To stop chasing safety, you must redefine success. Success is not avoiding failure. Success is not avoiding discomfort. Success is not avoiding judgment. Success is growth. Success is becoming better than you were yesterday. Success is honoring your potential. Success is refusing to settle for a half-lived life. Success is choosing courage in moments when fear wants to control you. Success is building a life you are proud of, one aligned with your values, your desires, your purpose. True safety does not come from avoiding risk. It comes from becoming someone strong enough to face it. It comes from being adaptable. It comes from being resilient. It comes from being courageous. It comes from knowing that no matter what happens, you will rise. This is the paradox. The more courage you build, the safer you become. Not because life becomes easier, but because you become stronger. Safety outside yourself is fragile. Safety within yourself is immeasurable. The world is full of people chasing safety. Let them. You were not born for a small, comfortable life. You were born to stretch, to evolve, to take chances, to trust yourself, to walk toward the unknown and discover what you're truly capable of. Your future is waiting on the other side of your courage. Your growth lies beyond the boundary of your comfort. Your potential is calling you into places that safety will never let you enter. The question now is, will you keep chasing safety, or will you start chasing your life? Because you cannot have both. But if you choose courage, if you choose growth, if you choose to step boldly into the unknown, you will build a life that safety could never give you. And when you do, you will look back not with regret, but with gratitude. Gratitude that you were brave enough to live. Gratitude that you chose risk over regret. Gratitude that you finally stopped settling. Gratitude that you found your strength. You were not born to hide. You were born to rise.